How to forgive yourself and finally stop self-sabotage. Have you ever felt exhausted from constantly obsessing over past mistakes? Maybe it was a terrible decision at work, a hurtful comment to a loved one, or just the deep regret of missing a huge opportunity. That feeling of guilt and self-blame isn't just a mental burden. It is subtly blocking you from achieving everything good in your present and future. But here's the good news. You can change that. Hi, I'm Courage to Rise, and in this super detailed video, I'm going to share with you 9 powerful secrets so you can not only accept, but truly forgive yourself. By the end of this, you will have a clear roadmap to lift the burden of the past, transform regret into motivation, and start living a lighter life focused on growth. Don't miss any of the secrets, because each one is a vital piece that will help you find inner peace. Let's get started.
Tip 1. Separate the action from the self-worth. This is the most crucial secret, the first foundation block. Most of our self-punishment comes from a fundamental confusion, identifying ourselves with the mistake. When you mess up, your brain automatically concludes, I am a terrible person, or I am a failure, or I am irresponsible. But there is a huge difference between I did a bad thing and I am a bad person. This difference is the gateway to forgiveness. Explanation. The action is an event. It has a start date and an end date. It was influenced by external factors like fatigue, pressure, lack of experience, or incomplete information at that time. Conversely, you, the self, are an evolving entity. You are the sum total of thousands of actions, values, good intentions, and daily efforts. Practical example. Student scenario. Imagine you're a student. You failed an important exam. If you say, I am a failure who can't do anything, you are turning one moment into your lifelong identity. This kills the motivation for the next exams. But if you reframe it as, I did not perform well on that exam because I was sleep deprived and didn't study properly, you have created a separation. You retain your self-worth and criticize only the action. Language trick. Here's a quick trick you can apply right away. When you blame yourself, always insert the phrase, in that moment, or my action was, at the beginning of the sentence. Instead of, I was so stupid to trust that person, say, in that moment, my action of trusting that person was imprudent based on the information I had at that time. When you use this language, you send a powerful message to your subconscious. The mistake does not define me. It is just a lesson. Separating the action from the self makes it easier for you to approach the next step, analysis without judgment.
Tip 2. Turn mistakes into data. Once you realize that a wrong action does not define you, the next step is do not waste that mistake. Most people, when they make a mistake, tend to avoid, cover up, or suppress it. That is the ego's natural reaction, but it turns the mistake into an unsolvable burden. Instead, we must apply the famous growth mindset. In this mindset, a mistake is not the end. It is pure data. Explanation. Think like a scientist or an engineer. When an experiment fails, they don't call themselves a failure. They say, what does this result tell us? Which variables do we need to adjust? Practical example. Work scenario. You invested too much in a risky business project and suffered a major loss. Self-blame. Fixed mindset. I'm stupid. I don't know how to manage finances. I should never try to do business again. Data analysis. Growth mindset. Okay, where does the data show I went wrong? I didn't diversify capital. I ignored the risk warning from my mentor. The lesson is,
Always diversify and always listen to experts. When you shift to seeking data, the feeling of guilt gradually turns into curiosity and a purpose to improve. Practical tip: take a notebook and divide the page in half. Column 1, what was the wrong action? Column 2, what does this mistake teach me about 1, myself, and 2, the world? When you do this exercise, you are upgrading the mistake into wisdom. And wisdom is something you can carry with you for the rest of your life. Tip 3. Treat yourself like your own best friend. So far, we have separated the mistake and collected the data. But why does the self-blame still linger? Because we are still missing self-compassion. Self-compassion is not self-justification, but the recognition that to be human means we are guaranteed to make mistakes. Mistakes are a universal part of the human experience. Explanation: think about how you react when your best friend makes a mistake. Would you say, "You're terrible"? Or would you say, "Everyone makes mistakes. I understand how you feel. Let's find a way to fix it"? The problem is we treat ourselves much worse than we would treat any stranger on the street. Practical example: the conversation. Suppose you forgot an important anniversary and hurt your partner. Current internal voice, or self-criticism: you are heartless, selfish, a terrible person, they're going to leave you. Compassionate voice, or self-compassion: hey, I know you are in pain and disappointed in yourself. Forgetting was an accident, not your intention. You've been exhausted with work lately. Now take a deep breath, apologize sincerely, and fix this mistake kindly. When you shift your internal dialogue, your nervous system switches from fight or flight mode to tend and befriend mode. This is where true healing begins. Advice: 3-minute tip. Every morning, take 3 minutes to practice self-compassion meditation. Say 3 things to yourself. 1. This is a moment of suffering. 2. Suffering is a part of life. 3. May I be kind to myself in this moment. This may sound simple, but it is the biggest catalyst for change in the process of self-forgiveness because it breaks the decades-long habit of self-blame. Tip 4. Identify and take the amends step. We have been kind to ourselves, but what if your mistake affected someone else? Self-forgiveness cannot be just an internal act. It must be accompanied by an external action. If you hurt others, most of your guilt comes from a feeling of unfulfilled responsibility. Making amends, or repair, is the only way to shift from passive regret to active repair. Explanation: making amends doesn't mean you have to erase the consequences. That's often impossible. Making amends is simply taking responsible action to minimize the damage and demonstrate genuine remorse. Practical example: irresponsible action. You owe a friend money for a long time and failed to keep your promise to pay on time. Wrong amends. Passive regret. I feel so bad, I'll avoid them and hope they forget. Internal manipulation. Right amends. Active repair. 1. Acknowledge. Call to apologize for the irresponsibility. 2. Plan. Give a clear repayment date, even if installment. 3. Extra action. Give a small gift showing appreciation for the friendship. This is the crucial point. It's not the mistake that kills you, it's your refusal to repair it. This act of repair provides proof to your brain that you are a responsible person, closing the regret loop. Small tip, an actionable tip. If you cannot directly make amends, as in the person has passed away or doesn't want to see you, find an equivalent action. Do a good deed for someone else in need, or engage in volunteer work related to your mistake. Transform the energy of guilt into active kindness. This way, You give positive energy back to the world, and simultaneously, you automatically forgive yourself.
Tip 5. Radical acceptance of the unchangeable past. This is when we reach the final barrier, obsession. Even if you have apologized and repaired, you still find yourself replaying the mistake in your head, night after night. Why do we do that? Because your brain believes that if it suffers enough, if it thinks about it long enough, somehow it can change the outcome. This is a dangerous illusion. You must face a simple truth. The past is over. Every effort you make to change a past moment is a waste of energy in the present. Explanation of radical acceptance. Radical acceptance does not mean you agree with the mistake or you say it is okay. It simply means you acknowledge the undeniable truth of reality. Practical example: the career regret. Suppose you regret choosing the wrong major, which led to 5 years in a job you hate. Painful thought. If only I had listened to my mother, if only I had been braver. You are stuck in a hypothetical parallel universe. Radical acceptance: the truth is, I chose that major, and I spent 5 years there. That is data. I cannot change it, but I can accept it as part of my story, and now I will use that experience to choose a better new direction. Practical tip: the time machine. Next time your mind starts stepping into the regret time machine, recognize it and say out loud, "Stop. The past is over. I am at current location." Anchor yourself in the present by focusing on the 5 senses. What are you seeing, hearing, smelling, feeling? This forces the brain out of the illusion of controlling the past. Self-forgiveness is ultimately the ability to accept that you made a mistake and then never having to pay for that mistake again.
Tip 6. Rebuild self-trust through small promises. The biggest enemy of self-forgiveness is not regret, but a lack of self-trust. Mistakes have made you lose faith that you can make good decisions or keep your promises. If you don't trust yourself, how can you forgive yourself? Self-forgiveness requires proof. I am no longer the person who committed that mistake. Explanation. We need to rebuild micro-integrity. This is about doing what you say you will do. Not big actions, but small, daily promises. Each small promise you keep, making your bed, exercising for 5 minutes, replying to an email immediately, is a vote for your future self. Practical example: the habit of procrastination. You always regret procrastinating on important work, leading to poor results. Mistake? Trying to change 100% of the habit immediately. Starting tomorrow, I will work 8 hours straight. A big promise that easily fails. Building trust. Micro-integrity. Today, I only need to work on this for 5 minutes. When the timer goes off, I will stand up, whether I want to continue or not. You prove I said 5 minutes, I did exactly 5 minutes. After 5 times of keeping that small promise, your brain will slowly change its label from promise breaker to reliable person. This is forgiveness based on proof, not just empty words. Practical tip: the first 5 minutes. When starting a task that makes you anxious, related to old mistakes, commit to doing only the first 5 minutes. 90% of the time, you will continue, and you have defeated procrastination. Remember, you cannot change the past, but you can change who steps into that future. And that person must be a version of yourself that you trust.
Tip 7. Disarm your inner critic. Sometimes, even when you have done everything right, the voice in your head still relentlessly says, "You are not good enough. That mistake is proof you are a loser." This voice may sound like yours, but often it isn't. Explanation. Your inner critic is rarely your own voice. It is a recording of past authority figures, parents, teachers, guardians, or even societal culture that imposed harsh standards on you. As long as you think that voice is your own, it has complete control over your emotions. The first step is to identify its origin. Practical example: the harsh standard. You make a small error in a presentation. The inner critic screams, "Perfection is mandatory. If it's not perfect, you fail." Analysis. Is this the voice you use to talk to your friends? No. Does it sound like your mother when she said, "No mistakes allowed," or a harsh professor? Practical tip: name activation. When the critic appears, give it a name. For example, the strict teacher, the old boss, or the voice of perfection. This helps you create distance and see it as a separate, outdated entity. Step 2. Respond politely but firmly. Instead of agreeing, argue back with compassion. When the strict teacher says, "You messed everything up," respond, "Thank you for the input, but that is outdated information. I have collected the data, repaired the mistake, and I am a person who is learning." Every time you respond, you are taking away its power. The power of self-criticism lies in your silent agreement. Speak up, and it will gradually weaken.
Tip 8. Reframe your story. The gift of the scar. Most people, when they talk about old mistakes, they speak in the role of a victim or the perpetrator. This keeps them in the past. To fully forgive yourself, you must shift into the role of the survivor and teacher. Your mistake is no longer a burden, but the wisdom you can use to help others. Explanation. A scar is proof that you were hurt, but it is also proof that you healed. It is a unique source of strength. Without that scar, you wouldn't have the deep compassion you have today. Practical example: financial mistake. You were once heavily in debt due to reckless financial decisions when you were young. Old story: I am terrible with money. I ruined my future. Mistake: identity. New story: I once made huge financial mistakes, but that forced me to learn. Now I am financially responsible and can warn my friends and family not to follow that path. When you do this, you are changing the meaning of the mistake from failure to mission. You have found purpose in your pain. Practical tip: write the new chapter. Write a paragraph of about 5 sentences, starting with, "I used to be," describe the mistake, "but because of that experience, I am becoming," describe the new version. Turn your mistake into your greatest inspiring story. When you do that, you have achieved complete forgiveness. Tip 9. Forgiveness is a practice, not a destination. You've gone through 8 powerful steps, but here is the final truth. Self-forgiveness is not a destination you reach once and for all. It is a muscle you must exercise every day. There will be bad days. There will be times when the critical voice reappears and you make new mistakes. That is perfectly normal. Explanation. The goal is not to become perfect, but to shorten the self-blame time and speed up the repair process. Instead of spending a whole week obsessing over a small mistake, now you only need 30 minutes. Forgiveness is a daily choice to return to compassion. Like meditation, if you miss a day, you just start again the next day without judgment. Practical example: relapse. You've built up self-trust, tip 6, but last night you relapsed into your old bad habit. Wrong reaction. All my efforts were useless. I am a failure. Self-sabotage. Practical reaction. Okay, I slipped up. The data shows I was tired and vulnerable. Today, I will make a small promise to start over. everything is still okay. Small tip: the self-assessment ritual. Every night before bed, take 2 minutes to perform the 3-2-1 ritual. 1. 3 things you did right today, no matter how small. 2. 2 things you learned today. 3. 1 small promise you will keep tomorrow. Treat yourself with patience. Patience is not just for others, it is your own right. We have just gone through a deep healing journey. Let's quickly review these 9 secrets, the key to freeing yourself from the chains of the past. First, remember, a mistake does not define you. Separate the action from the self-worth. Tip 1. Second, turn every failure into valuable data for growth. Tip 2. Third, treat yourself with compassion like your own best friend. Tip 3. Fourth, take the amends step to close the regret loop. Tip 4. Fifth, radically accept the truth that the past is unchangeable. Tip 5. Sixth, rebuild self-trust through small daily promises. Tip 6. Seventh, disarm the inner critic by identifying its source. Tip 7. Eighth, reframe your story. Turn the scar into a gift of wisdom for the future. Tip 8. And finally, always remember, forgiveness is a practice every day, not a destination. Tip 9. By applying these secrets, you will stop wasting energy on self-sabotage. You will feel lighter, more focused, and gain the momentum needed to move toward big goals in your work, studies, and relationships. The journey of change starts now. Commit to implementing one of these 9 secrets within the next 24 hours. Which secret will you start with? Share it in the comments below to receive support from our community. If you found this video helpful and inspiring, don't forget to hit like and share it with a friend who needs forgiveness. And of course, hit subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss our upcoming life skills and personal development videos. You can watch this video, related video title, e.g., 5 Steps to Beat Procrastination, to dive deeper into building good habits. Thank you for joining me. Be kind to yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.